Hello and welcome to Title Talk. It's November 26th and I'm Karen Hamstra. Well, it's the weekend after a holiday, a major Thanksgiving holiday, so things are a little slow, but I still have some new things to show you. We'll start off with a couple of new large print books. The first is Frederick Forsyth's book, The Fox. This is about British secret intelligence agent Adrian Weston receives shocking news. The Pentagon, the NSA, and the CIA have been hacked by someone called the Fox. That turns out to be a British teenager named Luke Jennings, and he, instead of bringing him here, they decide to use him to help both the United States and Great Britain. And Adrian, the chief British intelligence service former chief, he must stay one step ahead of multiple invisible enemies, all the while finding a way to use the most powerful and most unpredictable weapon of all. So again, that is Frederick Forsyth's The Fox. And then we have Mary Higgins' new Clark, also in large print, You Don't Own Me. And this is the fifth in Mary Higgins Clark and Alifair Burke's Under Suspicion series. Here's a new fiction book that we will get out very soon. It is called Lost Lake by Emily Littlejohn. And it's about newly engaged detective Gemma Monroe, who responds to a missing person call at Lost Lake, which is near Cedar Valley, Colorado. And it's spring, but there's still ice on the shores. And Gemma meets three friends there who have been camping, and the fourth member of their group, Sari Chesney, has disappeared overnight without a trace. So, as you may guess, Gemma has to find out what happened to Sari. We have The Best of Bad Things, a novel by Katrina Caruso. This is a vivid, sexy barn burner of a historical crime novel, and it introduces readers to the fiery Alma Rosales, who is a detector, smuggler, and spy. The year is 1877, and she was trained in espionage by the Pinkertons Detective Agency. And this is the story of one of her adventures out west, an early female detective. The Best Bad Things, Katrina Caruso. Here is one of the most popular Russian novels ever in translation, Vida Nostra. It gets stunning reviews, and it says, while vacationing at the beach with her mother, Sasha Sominkina meets the mysterious Farit Kozhenikov under the most peculiar circumstances, and the teenage girl is powerless to refuse when this strange and unusual man with an air of sinister directs her to perform a task with potentially scandalous consequences. He pays her a strange gold coin in reward for her efforts. As the novel moves on, she carries out multiple tasks for him in exchange for more gold coins, and she's asked to use her gold and enter the Institute of Special Technologies. And she doesn't want to go to the unknown town or the school. She also feels it's the only place that she should be. And so against her mother's wishes, she leaves behind all that she's ever known and begins her education. And as she quickly discovers, the Institute's special technologies are unlike anything she's ever encountered. The books are impossible to read, the lessons are obscure to the point of maddening, and the work refuses memorization. So it sounds like quite an interesting book, and as I say, it's one of the best-selling Russian novels in recent history. Sarah Payne has a new book, Song of the Damned. This is a Phineas Fox mystery. And it says, as Finn follows the threads of the past, he discovers that curious legends about the Cressiker Abbey School's history still linger, including the fate of a group of nuns who disappeared without a trace more than 200 years before. What exactly happened to them? And who is the mysterious Ginevra, the shadowy figure whose true identity has never been known? And as he delves further, Finn begins to unravel a series of interlocking secrets, each more puzzling and sinister than the last. Song of the Damned, Sarah Rain. And I have a few nonfiction books for you. This little gem has garnered a lot of attention. It's been on the bestseller list, I believe. It's called I'd Rather Be Reading: The Delights and Dilemmas of the Reading Life by Anne Bogle. and the call number is 028.9 BOG. This woman is the person who runs the Mrs. Darcy blog, where she recommends books to people. And she's been going on a lot of bookshop tours to promote the book. I've started reading it, and it's just really a nice little book. If you're looking for a gift book for Christmas, I'd Rather Be Reading by Anne Bogle. That would be a great one. It's only $14.99, and there's a lot of reading in I'd Rather Be Reading. The War Before the War, Fugitive Slaves and the Struggle for America's Soul from the Revolution to the Civil War by Andrew Delbanco. That is at 973.7115. As you might guess, it is about the two nations in America that existed after its founding, one slave and one free. And it goes into the complex reasons why this nation ultimately broke apart. Well, now this is another fiction book, The Museum of Modern Love. If you stare at this cover long enough, it might make you a little dizzy. It is by Heather Rose, and it was featured in one of our online book clubs a couple of weeks ago. Some of it takes place at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, which I think that's why it has this wild cover. It's about an artist who's kind of reached a dead end in his life, and almost by chance he sees an exhibition in the Museum of Modern Art, and I think it brings him back to his art. Here's another fiction book, Harvest of Secrets, a Wine Country Mystery by Ellen Crosby. This, of course, well, not necessarily. This does take place in Atoka, Virginia, and Lucy Montgomery is sure that her life couldn't be any more hectic, but then two shocking events occur in the midst of harvest tumult. A skull is unearthed near Lucy's family cemetery, and the handsome, wealthy aristocrat Jean-Claude de Marignac arrives in town to become the new winemaker at neighboring La Vigne Cellars. Jean-Claude is no stranger to Lucy. He was her first crush 20 years ago when she spent a summer in France. But the discovery of human remains dumped on her land is troubling. And I think you could say that. Nathaniel Philbrook has a new nonfiction book called In the Hurricane's Eye, The Genius of George Washington and the Victory at Yorktown. The call number is 973.337. I think that's a fairly self-explanatory title. Nathaniel Philbrook's history history books are quite renowned. So if you enjoy reading history, that would be a great one. The 36-Hour Day, this is the large print edition. We also got a new regular print edition. This is the 6th edition of this book. And it is the Bible when it comes to families who have Alzheimer's patients or other dementia patients and how to cope. So I would highly recommend this. The call number, at least in large print, is 616.8 MAC. And last but not least, we have a lovely new cookbook called Cook's Illustrated Revolutionary Recipes, Groundbreaking Techniques, Compelling Voices, One-of-a-Kind Recipes, and it's celebrating Cook's Illustrated 25 years. It's kind of interesting. It's almost like they took a series of their articles and reprinted them in the form of a book. There's in-depth information about each recipe. Like here is a vegetable lasagna recipe. Doesn't it look good? Oh, I think it really does. And then the recipe itself is not too terribly involved. And the whole book is just filled with all kinds of goodies. From bread to vegetables to brown sugar cookies to key lime pie in minutes. If I've got your salivary glands in action, try this one out. It's 641.5973. That's it for this week. I'll see you next week. Happy reading.